This is the cricket connoisseur giving a preview of the first test match between Pakistan versus New Zealand. And first, let's talk about the team. So on screen, you can see I've got the whole squad, and the players highlighted in black are the players I think will play in the first test match, and the rest, obviously, they're just the rest of the squad. So opening the batting, obviously this is going off, obviously they've just played Australian test match as well, so it's going to be similar to that. So Imam al-Haq sorry, Imam al-Haq and Mohammad Hafiz will be opening the batting. I think Pakistan do need to have that left hand right hand combination. I think everyone should. I'm a fan of that. I think that's a good thing to do. Right hand, left hand, rotate the strike. Whole field has to change, go the other way around, and then the bowler has to adjust his lines. Can and it creates more scoring opportunities. So you got and then you got Azrali at number three. He's not been in the best form as late, but he does play his best cricket in the UAE. So I think he'll hopefully he'll have a good series, three test matches. Obviously, Haris Sahel, he just played very well in it was just the ODI against New Zealand, the third one, where unfortunately he's been hit with a lot of injuries over his career. I think he had a knee injury or something, and uh, so yeah, but he played very well in that game. He still, when he came in and when it was time, he could hit the big shots. So that's sometimes Pakistan. They've got the lower order, like you've got Fahim and Hassan Ali. Obviously, they didn't play the Fahim didn't play the ODIs, but those are the lower order big hitters that they're gonna come in, they're gonna go for it. Whatever. But the middle order, they got Hafiz showed in the T20s. They haven't really got that person to hit the sixes, just to switch from maybe taking a lot of singles, twos, and then hitting sixes. Babar Azam, he's not really a big hitter. He's not a power hitter. He's more of a stroke player. So that's why I think he's in the squad, and I think he's a good addition. Obviously, Asad Shafiq, he was when he was batting at number six, he had the most hundreds at that position. I think he's very experienced. He's one of the most since obviously Misbah Yunus left. He's the most experienced batsman, or one of the most experienced, I think, and the better ones. Hafiz, he's been playing test matches, but he hasn't always played. He hasn't got a very good average, I don't believe, in test matches, and he hasn't always adapted what are the different conditions. So I think that's what I think Asad Shafiq has done that. If you saw when he went to Australia, he's got a big 100 against, Pakistan did, eventually they lost that test match. I believe it was the second test match that was, or was it the first? I can't remember, where he scored that 100, and everyone, Pakistan, they didn't score very much in the first innings, and the second innings they got to about 400, but they unfortunately they lost, and that was things like that, in Australia, where I think he never batted in Australia before that, so that sort of thing, adapting. And Babar Azam obviously he's been in very good form in obviously the best T20 batsman at the moment in the world, and he's playing well in the 50 over cricket, but obviously hasn't transferred that form over. People saying, online and stuff about, oh, he shouldn't be playing. You got to give players a chance. There's this thing, you just play, you don't want to just play him for a couple of games and then drop him, and then he'll make a comeback like 2 years later, and it's just pointless. You need to give a player a chance, especially he's shown ability already in the T20s, and he's shown the ability, so he doesn't need to, he just needs to give a bit more time. And then obviously you got the next play, the wicket. They've only played one wicket keeper. Obviously Sarfraz, the captain. Obviously he's a very good batsman. Obviously he's a keeper first, but if you talk about his batting, he's a very good batsman. He rotates the strike. If there's any format, if it's made the run rate's a bit slow, you can pick it up. Runs the ones and twos, and could come in pressure situations like he did against Australia when it was very, there was a lot of pressure on him. Pakistan, they'd lost I think they were like 65 or something around, roughly around that mark, and he came in, him and Fokker, really they got to a decent score, and sort of saved the match. If I was watching it on the first day, I was thinking they've lost. How have they, they're gonna get all out for 100, 150, and then ended up making a pretty decent score, 300 plus. So you got, but the only thing I've got, they should play Mohammad Rizwan also. If you look at the whole squad, maybe you could have not played Mir Hamza, for example, and played Mohammad Rizwan, or maybe not played Saad Ali. I know Saad Ali's not gonna play. There's three test matches unless one the batsman gets out if they play two test matches, and play two test matches, 4 innings, and get all out for under, they don't go above 10 in each innings, then maybe Saad Ali might come in. But I think I would have had Mohammad Rizwan, to be honest, just for the keeper situation, because we saw in the last test match against Australia where Sarfraz had a bit of issue, and in the last against Australia, the series where he had an injury, and then he came in and Rizwan was the keeper. Obviously, he couldn't bat, but they didn't need him to bat, and he kept very well. Excuse me, and I would have had Rizwan in there, but hopefully everything will be fine. Obviously, they got the two all-rounders, Bilal Asif and Fahim. Obviously, they'll go with Bilal because they need the two spinners minimum. You need two spinners in the team. Pakistan have always played with two spinners, and that's what they'll need. And he played well against Australia. I was skeptical about him at the start. He didn't. Obviously, he did play against Zimbabwe a few years back. I think it was in 2015. And obviously, he didn't bat. He didn't. Well, I can't remember how well I think he played okay, but it's against Zimbabwe, and then he got reported for an action. And then I think he never actually got banned, I don't believe. He just got reported, and then I think he went over it, and then it was fine. Obviously, he's been bowling recently. And he bowled well, against Australia. Obviously, the reason that the right arm off spinner is because of Australia had lots of left-handers. I don't think New Zealand have many, in the top order, so the top six. I'm trying to think, who is a left-hander? I can't really remember at the top of my head. So you got Bilal Asif, the off spinner, and then you got, he will play. And I think he's actually he hasn't shown it, but if you look on his profile, it says all rounder, so he can bat a bit. So we haven't seen it. He hasn't had to show it yet, but I think obviously he can bat a bit. You got Mohammad Abbas, obviously the best Pakistan bowler at the moment for test matches. He's only been playing test matches. With he's very simple, good line and length, seam swings it in and away to the right hander, consistent. If he pitches it too full and gets driven for four, he's not scared to bowl the same delivery. Maybe just adjust the length, and you just bowl the same delivery again. I think there was in the last series against Australia where he was bowling, he took a wicket or two, and had a lot of slips, people in. He got driven for 2 4s, and then they kept the same end, and then he got a wicket after he hit for 2 4s. So he doesn't get deterred like that. So, and he's obviously the record. I think his last 10 matches, he's taken 59 wickets. This is off the top of my head, I was reading. Yeah, I think it was 10 matches, 59 wickets. So he's what record of recent. And he hasn't been playing for very long either. So yeah, he'll be playing. I'll come back to Shane Afridi. Obviously, Yasir Shah is our main spinner for Pakistan. He's the main spinner. Obviously, he's had a great career since he's been playing. He's performed all around the world. He's played pretty much everywhere now, and he started in the UAE. I remember it was against Australia. I think it was his first series when he bowled. I think he was bowling, and he bowled it's to David. I can't remember if it was his first wicket in Test match. It was David Warner, and he bowled like a half tracker, and Warner pulled it and went straight to a fielder. And even the commentator said that it's probably the worst deliveries bowled, and he took a wicket off it. Obviously, he's been bowling very well in all conditions, and I think he'll be vital in that middle part of the innings. Obviously, in Dubai, the fast bowlers can't bowl 7, 8 overs. They can only bowl maybe 5. Mohammad Abbas can bowl a few more because of his pace. He doesn't bowl too quick, but other bowlers can't bowl for too long. So he bowls crazy amounts of overs in test matches. So he'll be the person to look to. Obviously, the second fast bowler, because obviously you only play 2 fast bowlers in the UAE. They got Abbas, obviously he's a pick. Obviously it's Hassan Ali, Shaheen Afridi, Amir Hamza. So obviously Hassan Ali, he's not been the best of form recently. He's played a bit of test cricket, he played right in England and stuff, but he hasn't really been in the best of form. I think he still needs to adjust bowling in the UAE in those sort of conditions. It was a similar thing to when Muhammad Amir, when he made his comeback. Obviously before his ban, he played all his cricket obviously in sort of England abroad, and he bowled very well. And then when he came back and played in UAE, he struggled a bit, and he's been playing for a while now, and he's never really adjusted that greatly, to taking wickets, because you have to bowl. It's a lot different than bowling in other parts of the world. That's why he's been dropped. Hasn't been taking he's been wicketless for a while, and hasn't been bowling very well in all forms. So obviously that's why he's been dropped. So Hassan Ali's been a bit similar. He's been a bit off. He took in the ODIs. If you look at recent form in the ODIs, he wasn't bowling very well. So yeah, And then Shane Afridi, I think, will play. I think he's in amazing form if you look at the way he's been bowling. Only played the 2 first-class matches. That was a thing that I sort of had a reservation about. Obviously, he's been playing well, but I didn't want him to play like too much Test cricket early. I didn't want him, because it's a bit like what I might make a separate video about this, but yeah, I'll probably make a separate video about this, but about Shaheen Afridi. I don't want him to play Test cricket too early, and maybe just play first-class cricket in Pakistan for a bit longer. But I'll make a video about that. And obviously we've got Mir Hamza, who, he's not, as Pakistan played the 2 fast bowlers. You got Mohammad Abbas, who's obviously best bowler in the team at the moment, and he's the one that, he doesn't bowl quick. He bowls around between 77 to maybe 83, 84 at times, and he takes wickets at that, and he's successful. That's his optimum bowling speed. But you need someone that's a bit quicker. And with Hassan Ali, he's not in very good form. Shaheen Afridi can bowl quick. He can bowl 140 plus at times when he's in rhythm. He can bowl 140 plus kph. So that's the reason I think he's been selected. He's in the squad, and he will play. Obviously, Mir Hamza, yeah, he bowled that one really good delivery, but apart from that, obviously he wasn't really needed, to be fair, because they had Mohammad Abbas bowling really well, and they were just bowling the spinners for a lot of the time. So it wasn't like, Abbas was off and then some spinners, and he wasn't pressured. So unfortunately, yeah, so I think Mir Hamza won't play, and I don't think he should really be in the squad because of that, because they could have just had another spinner instead of him. Maybe like Muhammad Askar. He was playing in the New Zealand Pakistan A team. I haven't checked his performances in the team, but he was in the team, and I've seen him bowl before, and he spins the ball, and left arm off spinner, and I think he could have been alright. So that's sort of gone. That's the first part. I've gone through the team who I think will play. Obviously, I think the toss is pretty important in the UAE. Who wins the toss? I think you need to obviously spot Pakistan. So I'll have the bat first and score a good amount of runs. I think with Pakistan's bowling attack, I think you can get away with about 350, but an average, if you get like an average across whoever is bowling, I would say 400 at least. I think it's a good score, 400. And I think if Pakistan end up bowling first, or bowling in any situation, it's early to get Mohammad Abbas to just get through that, to bowl and take wickets early. Because I think if he is played well, then there might be a bit more pressure on the other bowlers to come in. And maybe like if Shaheen Afridi plays and there's only 2 quicks, there might be a bit more pressure on him and Yasir Shah and like Bilal Asif also. So it's early. It's key for to take wickets early. Obviously, Yasir Shah also important. He's the main spinner. And you saw in the first Test match against Australia, where it was like Australia were just, it was a draw the first Test match, and when they were just blocking in the first Test match, and Yasir Shah was talking to Bilal Asif, trying to calm him down. It was very unlikely Pakistan were going to win that. The last couple of balls, they needed like 2 wickets, and it was very unlikely, and they didn't win. And so he's going to be important to take wickets and guide Asif and really be the head of the bowling attack. I think we've got to talk a bit about New Zealand now. Obviously, Ross Taylor's in very good form. I think he has a very good record in like Asia, like even playing in India and stuff. He's in good form. We've just seen the way he hasn't, the way he played in the last 3 games in the ODI format. He didn't get dismissed. I was in the 3rd game. He didn't bat at all. I think in the first 2 he didn't even get out. So it shows the quality. He can play fast bowling, spin. It's just the only worry for New Zealand, they haven't played any cricket before this. They haven't played since like February, March time, and they haven't played Test cricket since March. So maybe they might struggle a little bit, and they're obviously playing the UAE since 2014. So maybe struggling. They need to get into the conditions and playing Test cricket. Obviously, it's very different to ODI cricket. You only have to play for 50 overs, and it's 7 hours is a game. It's Test cricket 5 days, 7-8 hours a day straight. So it's gonna be very different for them, and it could be difficult. I think obviously Kane Williamson is important. He's one of the best batsmen in the world in all formats. He hasn't been in the best of form, but I think he will need to play well if New Zealand stand a chance, because obviously in any series the home team is the team the home team is the favorite. You know, they know the conditions and everything. So in any series, the home, obviously England. We've seen England just beat Sri Lanka in the first Test match, but normally the home team obviously is more got more advantage. So obviously his quality, he's a captain, so he needs to lead from the front. I think other players for, if we're going to New Zealand, Wagner, I think he'll be very important. I'll talk about Southee and Bolt in a minute. Obviously, I'm not sure what sort of lineup they will go with. Will they go with 2 or 3 fast bowlers? Obviously, they've got Sodhi as a spinner, and there's another spinner as well. I can't remember his name, but obviously Wagner, I think, will be important because he's not exactly fast, but he's got that bouncer, and he bowls it. I've seen him bowl it, and he bowls it very well. And he bowled it. I was watching some videos of him yesterday actually, and it was against India when he got Kohli out, and he bowled some very good, bouncers, and he's not scared to bowl in any period of the game in Test matches. So, excuse me, he's a bit like Ferguson. Obviously, it's a different format, but I think he'll be a bit like the Ferguson role, what he bowled in the 50 over games. Also, I think Southee, because he's very like Mohammad Abbas, and we know about Pakistan's batting, and if he can get a few at the top, just like Australia did, obviously, you know, that doesn't happen too often where, they took about 5 wickets, everyone went, and then it was Fakhar and Sarfraz who batted and got them obviously to a good score. So, yeah, Southee will sort of do that. Abbas role, he'll have to bowl like that. And then obviously they've got Bolt, who's a very big fan of Trent Bolt. I think he's a very good bowler. I said before obviously I hadn't started making videos then, but before the first ODI, I said he'll bowl well because Pakistan had struggle against fast bowling. He bowls quick and he can swing it. And I thought they would struggle because they hadn't faced him yet as well, because he didn't play the T20. Saudi had played already. So, and yeah, if New Zealand bowl, whenever they're bowling, they need to take early wickets. That's the key for them. Just like Australia did, take early wickets and put them under pressure, put Pakistan under pressure. And yeah, and I think if we're talking about winning sort of percentages or anything like that, I'd say Pakistan, I'd probably give it 70-30. I think that's pretty fair. I think as New Zealand haven't played much cricket and at all, and in the UAE and Pakistan's recent form, I'd definitely give Pakistan the edge over New Zealand in this Test match. And yeah, make sure you like, comment, and share. Get this out there. This has been the Cricket Connoisseur.